tradable token. It's focused on exchange of value rather than the store of value. And that is something different from the investment perspective, because generally people get into crypto, they're trying to make quick money. They put $100 or $1,000, they're waiting for $100,000 within days or months. Here, their approach is very different. Zen's
I look like absolute poop. I just had to look at myself really quick. Guys, we were just covering a couple of specific things. Then we're doing an audible. I switched the title. I switched the thumbnail. I've switched everything. And Jack, we were just listening to the Twitter space at the end of that. Amazing Twitter space, by the way. Mature and absolutely, I enjoyed. I only listened to like 20 minutes of the darn thing. And I was like, I could have gone for 3 hours, promise you. I would have. If that was 3 hours and he just kept going, I would have waited for 3 hours and then asked him to come on then. But it just happened. So I'm going to have Jack on here. I've got some hard-hitting questions for the guy, obviously. And he's probably has answers, graceful answers, because no one's hiding from anything. It's just we're hosted on the internet. It's there. Guys, we're just chatting. And we don't hate anyone. Okay? Everyone's friendly. Just like we like people, we like life, we like DeFi, remember? Just kidding. Here, I am going to play one ad, though, before I go, and I really have to use the bathroom, and I want to be able to sit here for however much longer he has. So just give me 1 second. I'm actually not going to play an ad because I don't want it to be off-brand. I'm just going to use the bathroom. Just give me literally 35 seconds.
value is free, and yet it has value because there's so many people playing with Zen today. For example, today we have reached 1 million wallets connected across multitude of blockchains. Number one is, believe it or not, is Polygon, because I think it's the cheapest to interact with. Number two is Binance, and number three is Ethereum, followed by Ethereum Proof of Work, and the last but not least is Avalanche.
Thank you so much for your answer. And basically, I love the idea. I can remember that in one of your interviews, you mentioned that actually Zen is a project that actually also provides the educational value for those who are not that familiar with crypto. They basically can enter the whole space paying next to nothing, by which I mean the gas fees, and they can actually start playing with the project in a sense that it's a low level entry to the cryptocurrency space for those who might not be familiar with it. And if you don't mind, I would like to ask you one quick extra question. I would like you to bring me up to speed with the blockchains that Zen has been already deployed on, and with your future plans, because I can imagine that your plan is to deploy Zen on even more blockchains compared with today.
Yes, so we're looking at Cosmos, specifically EVMOS, because it's a very interesting chain that is running on the Cosmos.
Hi, Mr. Jack.
How's it going, GRC?
It's going, Jack. You know, the life just keeps going whether I like it or not. So I try to smile for the whole thing. Why not?
That sounds great. Nice here today.
Thanks, man. I've been trying to do something new, you know. Just kidding. I've been more so just not taking care of myself as much.
Wolverine look. Wolverine.
That's what I'm going for, you know. I was trying to be nerdy GRC, and then I was like, you know what? I got to go back to Wolverine GRC because the streets are getting
if you want to be nerdy, that's what you do.
Nerdy works, man, long term.
Nerdy look.
Yeah, you can switch your look real easily with like a shirt and one pair of glasses, and then you're good to go. Like it's like, or you could just put on a nice friendly shirt and put on the shades, and then you're like ready to go outside.
Yeah,
pretty much. But how are you doing today? How emotionally, as the founder, does it feel a couple days in things are getting awesome. Things are getting crazy. Of course, there's FUD, but you're talking to a lot of really sensible people. How do you feel about everything?
I feel amazing. I love what's happening. There's almost 10 million wallets connected to the protocol and minted Zen. It was incredible. I didn't think that would happen.
10 million.
I thought it would happen next year or in a year, but it happened in a week. So certainly when you design something and you want it to be adapted, you have a good feeling that that it's working.
Yeah, because this is about users at the end of the day. People have been hypnotized by price for too long. But what it is it's just trickery. It's just smart people tricking you into thinking something. And I'm not saying that it's not a good investment, and there's not, but people don't use them for the reasons that you're supposed to. Like you're supposed to use something. If there's like a yield-bearing asset that has long-term potential, you should use your money accordingly on that. But at the same time, understand we're in a speculative market, and something needs to come in where there is some stability, and the sharks can't come in and buy the whole thing right before it starts. And that is the problem with crypto. I'm telling you, the problem with crypto is that smarter people than you can shark with 100 grand, which to them is nothing. Nothing. They can shark day one, right when it hits the dApp. They can start providing liquidity from there, and then they can tell you a fucking fairy tale for the rest of 10 years. Dollars in the system.
Well, I think that's the biggest difference. Me as a founder of the protocol, I don't have to convince anybody to buy anything from me, because first of all, I don't have anything. All I need to do is describe how it works, and if it resonates with people, then they end up using it. And I think that is the bar that I wanted to raise for most cryptos out there. I think more people should do crypto for the people and have people involved to help you build it.
And they have to be transparent about what long-term scaling looks like. It's not pretty for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the best deal in history for every single person that gets in at day one. It's not. I did it day one. I'm sure I won't get the best deal in history. I was the 31st person to do it. And I already know. I've already done the calculations. Don't worry. And I already bought a lot more on, so whatever the case may be, it's like, I know the calculations. I minted because I wanted to participate, and I got probably a pretty darn good deal. But I didn't get a deal that I couldn't have got if I was putting in more effort at a different time. If I had 6 hours of effort right now, which I don't, and I'm not willing to do, I could go on to Zen right now and probably get a better deal just by putting in 6 hours of effort and spending a little bit of gas fees than I would have getting there first. I was like the 24th person on the Ethereum C rank. And then I had like a 201st.
I was 3,000. I got into 3,000.
And I did it live, which is kind of impressive. I'm going to go ahead and say that's kind of impressive. I didn't think I'd get in that early, but I was jacked up like on Mountain Dew, and I was excited, man. Every cell in my body was invigorated. For no reason, no money, not for the money reason, for the whole like meaning reason.
Yeah, I think I made a tweet yesterday, and I said sometimes the idea is worth more than all of the money combined. And I think it makes sense. The reason why that is the case is because it is the ideas that generate value, not the money itself. Money itself does not generate value. It's just like a washing machine or whatever, recycling machine. You just recycle value and you move, you allocate your resources. But if you're just an investor, you're allocating resources, you're not really creating anything new. You're just giving the uptick for some crypto or some stock, or when you sell, it's downtick. It's a red candle or it's a green candle. I think the ideas that resonate with people is ultimately what create value and what gives birth to new money and new protocols and so on and so forth. I mean, that's what's really exciting.
Think about it in terms of a YouTube channel. Like, I quit my job to do this YouTube channel. I hadn't made a damn dollar from it, but now everyone throws money at me all the time and wants to give me their money, and I don't take it. But like, it's funny to think, like, okay, I created this YouTube channel and put in all my hard work and effort, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of pure passion for no expected return. And now everyone wants to give me money.
Yeah,
Not
well, I
maybe
think
a
it's
lot.
because you're providing value, and your
Right. And
value
it's
is worth.
proportional.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more value we provide for the world, the more economic energy you'll receive, the more money you'll get, and we see it everywhere. I mean, imagine companies that were the most useful in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So Google, Amazon, Tesla. I mean, where I live, I only pretty much see Teslas. They're everywhere. And
And
I mean,
same. I'm in Baltimore, and now they're pulling up in every Uber in Baltimore.
wow.
In Baltimore, now the Ubers are turning into Teslas, like every one of them, and I'm like, what a weird reality. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We didn't really need a new car because we had cars. We had options, but we didn't have good electric cars. And so who would have thought that an electric car manufacturer that has almost failed would change the industry and the planet's course in terms of how we still can use our habits of driving, or we're driving ourselves. We don't want to be joining public transportation and save environment that way. Why not just use energy of the sun and be mobile? And so that idea made Elon Musk, at least for some period of time, the richest person on the planet. And you know what? He doesn't care. He doesn't care because his idea is not focused on generating the most money. It's focused on generating or creating the most impact. And that's how I feel about Zen as well.
Dude, you just brought me through a little journey. That was pretty wild to think about. Like, think about it. You really do have to think about it. Like, if you've seen enough really good projects prosper, they're all the same thing. Like, everything's just a copy of each other with a different thing that they're selling or trying to get you to sell. But some of them are really like a good deal. And some of them are really like a good deal for a small majority of people. And then the ones that are good deals for everyone will, just by definition, think about this little nuance, and we'll get off this point in a second. But when a broke young man pulls up in a Tesla, I'm not saying everyone who drives Uber is broke, but in the case of the guy I was talking to the other day, a young man broke driving a Tesla. I said, how you get this Tesla? You're young. He's like, oh, I can arbitrage it for the gas, and I actually make $300 and I don't have to pay for the car. And I said, oh my God, all Elon Musk did was put something better on the market that has actual better value. So now that the gas goes up, just by definition on user level, like they just arbit for, they don't pay gas anymore. And now they're like, oh, I used to pay gas every week. All day long I paid gas. Now they drive a Tesla and they get paid to drive it. It's pretty wild. But anyway, off that point, let's talk business for a second. Not business, but like adoption and future projection. So let's talk about other chains, because we kind of got cut off. You were just talking something beautiful about other chains, and the way that you were saying it makes a lot of sense. And then afterwards, I want to bring up a couple of points that I have about some chains that you're not launched on. But again, I'm not pushing towards anything. I don't care. But tell me about this world where Zen is on every different chain, and maybe tell the people, because they'll be confused initially about the prices on different chains. Like, right, they're going to be like, but if I do this, so talk about how it is. Does it launch new on these new chains? In the case of Pulse Chain, will it be a system state copy? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, so I think an omni-chain approach is a valid approach for this type of project, because there's people everywhere. They're on every chain. And people from Ethereum are learning about Avalanche and Ethereum proof of work, and they're learning about Polygon. Somebody who never touched Polygon before now are interested in Polygon, because you can get Zen very inexpensively there, like literally 5 cents. We plan to launch on Polkadot Moonbeam at some point, as well as EVMOS, which is the Cosmos ecosystem, also Ethereum compatible. And when I say Ethereum compatible, it's EVM compatible. So with the minor modifications to code, you can just launch there. And it is the same contract, but the ticker symbols are different. For example, Avalanche is AZEN, and Polygon is MZEN, and Binance is BZEN. So
And
all of
ETHPOW is
the
VVZen. So if you guys have seen that VVZen one, that one's just if anyone's confused. A lot of my guys like ETHPOW.
yeah, so VVZen is on ETHPOW. So VV stands for W. And the reason why we didn't go with W is because we thought that at some point we're going to be wrapping Zen on Ethereum and we would use WZen.
Oh my God, you guys are so mature about the thought process. That makes a lot of sense. That's a good call.
Yeah, because wrapped like WBTC and WETH, that's the convention. So we didn't want to make the ETHPOW to look like it's wrapped on ETHPOW. So that's why I got VV. And VV together looks like W.
As far as these new on ETHPOW in particular, because I'm a big ETHPOW fan, because I'm a newer guy and I was there from the beginning and I have some kind of feeling. Like same with Fair, but I'm only talking POW because you've launched on POW. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of things about Fair that you might know, you might not know. I don't know. But interestingly enough, we find that there's more development on Fair. And that's just what my producer says. So please don't quote me on that, guys. And he would come on here and probably tell you about it, but I don't know enough. But he says, I have noticed that they do a little more. And he tells me this stuff. And I was like, interesting, because I see the number creeping up. You know how Uniswap is like more mature? Like if you click on the Uniswap on Deck Screener, you see more mature, larger amount of money per user, longer term thinkers on Uniswap. And I don't see that necessarily on ETHPOW. That doesn't mean it can't be like a Binance. But on ETH Fair, I see like a little bit more of a mature, like the things that they're allowing to be on there, or I don't know how it works, but it seems like it's a little more constructive. For me, I like it because it's less of the meme coin craziness. Like Binance does so much volume per day, but in reality, they all spend a very low amount of money per transaction. Can you talk about some of the dynamics there as far as like what do you know and what can you know about all these other chains? Like at what point is there like, okay, there's some things we don't know?
Well, so ETHPOW was very interesting. I had some reservations launching there because it's so new, and I really wanted to launch on the mega chains first. But ETHPOW was I actually apparently know the founders. I met them in Palo Alto, and they know me, and so we
Dr.
had a
Rand?
conversation. I'm sorry.
I think it was Dr. Rand. Or have
No,
you talked
Dr.
to
Ren
those guys?
is fair.
Oh, I'm
He's
sorry.
fair.
My bad.
Yeah, it's somebody else. Just a couple of people I met there. And so what they told me, they said that once we launched Zen on ETHPOW, the miner reward went up 35%. So everybody who is mining ETHPOW now getting more ETHW for their effort to secure the network, which is
And they
amazing.
got rugged by ETH, so they had to switch over to something. So they're probably super happy with any benefits that you're providing, or not you. You know what I mean?
They're happy with the new users coming in and being excited about Zen. At the same time, PowerSwap is now using Zen as a bonus token, and they're super excited because they have like a 10x multiplier or something like that. And I don't know, maybe you can bring up a.
I've already done it, so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
I've already done it, and I participated in it not because I thought I was going to get the best rate in history, and I would always be rich forever. No, I participated in because I thought it was cool, and I wanted to see how this new V2. I like to look at some of the V2s, and PowerSwap was the first one that came up with any liquidity on ETHPOW. That was legitimate, and the other ones are still struggling to find it. And it said, hey, right on the top, do a Zen WETH pair. It said it right at the top, and I said, well, that's easy. So I just did it to participate in it, and I was probably the first 10 guys in the pool, playing around, not worried about the money. Again, I'm not. I'm trying to tell people, like, I'm not sharking for money right now. Please don't do this stuff if you're looking for some sort of amazing gains. I'm telling you, this is not what you need to be thinking about. You need to stop doing that stuff. But in general, like, I've been experiencing the process. How do you get involved? Why are they all listing Zen? Do they just see the numbers and then it's like almost automated marketing because they see the numbers, therefore they put that pair on the top because they know that that's where the volume's at that specific moment?
Are you talking about centralized exchanges or something else?
The DEXs like PowerSwap.
Oh, okay. So, well, the first thing they see is obviously they're connected to the ETHPOW chain developers too. And so what they see is the dynamic changing rapidly overnight. Like all of a sudden, I mean, at first they thought it was a denial of service attack. Like literally, I think they sent me a message and they're like, "Are you testing our miners or something like that? Like what's happening? Like what's happening with the
They were
gas?"
probably like, we could cut you a deal, bro. Just chill. And
Yeah,
you're like,
and then
no, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's fine.
and then I think they remembered that they met me at one of the crypto get-togethers, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, this is happening everywhere on every chain, so we better take advantage of it." And so the PowerSwap team immediately jumped in and started building and bringing people in to use Zen to get into PowerSwap. And I think there's other dApps out there that are immediately adding Zen in because they are seeing all those new users come to ETHPOW that weren't there before. By activity level as well as by uniqueness, I think there are some users that like didn't even think ETHPOW existed, and now they see it, and they also discovered that they have a copy state. The way that Richard would say, world's largest airdrop happened on ETHPOW. And so they see their USDC and their other tokens out there, and they're starting to play with it. And so it's kind of like an interesting experiment. So I think we did really well choosing the 4 largest chains plus 1 experimental chain, just to see the different dynamics, how they play out across the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. And I wish I could ask you all the nuanced math questions that I know you've probably already spun together in your head, but I also want to be challenging to myself. And to be quite frank, not that challenging. Like, I'm going to be quite frank for 1 second. I am not the smartest dude in this chat. I'm not stupid either. And I have a lot of life experience doing a bunch of random things that life threw at me. This ain't that hard to figure out, cupcakes. I'm sorry. I'm not playing this game where everyone pretends like this is, statistics for the most smart kid. I didn't go to college, did any of that stuff. It slow beginning, it speed up over time. Liquidity pool mature over time. You shut up. Like, it's so annoying when people are like, oh, this attack, that attack, this, that, and the other, slander, that. Jack is a piece of crap, evil son of a gun. And I'm like, please, guys, this is about ERC20s hosted on the internet. You can stake them, you can mint them, you can swap them, and you can shut up or provide liquidity. And I just
nobody's forced
to get a little bit back to the basics, Jack.
Yeah, I think nobody's forced to do anything. So I'm just as much of a participant as anybody else at this point. So I'm minting my Zen too, and I haven't had a chance to mint before it launched. So it makes me feel really good that I am part of the crowd that loving Zen protocol. And so I'm eating my own dog food, literally.
And it probably makes you emotional. Like, humans, right? Like, I don't care who you are. If somebody gave Jack $11 trillion for no reason and just parked it in front of him, probably change him just a hair. He would probably have a little bit. He'd be like, man, I got to think about this for a second. I could do something bigger, maybe scale in a different way. Maybe I'll buy some hospitals or what, you know what I mean? Like, you would have a different, but that's not the case. And but at the same time, it ruins men. The most men are not capable of handling the power and the pressure that comes with holding such an enormous amount of money for such every day you wake up in the morning, Jack, every day you have a chance to make the right and wrong decision. And that's a lot of choosing. That's a lot. I've made bad decisions in my life, and I'm pretty damn good at stuff sometimes. But man,
well, I think there's several ways to think of power. Some people feel empowered with their ability to make impact. Like, for example, if you have a lot of money, I mean, you have a choice. Do you buy a Lambo or a Ferrari? And you feel powerful. And then if you have good friends, you can show off your cars, fancy cars, to those friends. And they will like you because, well, they get to ride in your Ferrari and they never would otherwise. I mean, who knows? That is one way to feel powerful. But the other way to feel powerful is to make an impact in the world and touch everybody's, everybody's mind one way or the other. And I have had the privilege to do it before with Google. And then I had the privilege to do it with ImageShack.com. And I'm hoping that I'll have another privilege to do it with Zen Protocol.
For some of my more hardcore users, can you go into those experiences? I don't want to talk about like the details of like your work. Like I know that can be a little boring like to talk about, but like as an experience as a memory now and as an experience, how was that? Like in hindsight, like what, like, can you talk about it just as like a open-minded, like, wow, what an extremely powerful experience. I can't even imagine. I haven't been through anything of these sorts. But again, it was all in the past. Can you kind of let people know like what that meant to you as from like just from like a perspective of just like living your life?
Well, we're talking about like Google specifically, right?
Like, I mean, you watched that whole thing go, like, man, you had no idea. I mean, you couldn't have known. And then now you're living in this life and Google is Google. Like what? I know there was a bunch of stuff, but you watched something scale to the entire world and you were a part of it. Like, I want people to feel like maybe what you felt, why you feel some of the passion you feel. I'm a very passionate person, but a lot of people want to touch that feeling, like where you're like, man, that you changed the world, dude.
Well, I certainly did not set out to change the world in 1997 when I came to Silicon Valley. In fact, during that year, I felt that that the computer revolution has passed me, and I'm too late, and there's nothing else to be designed and done. And so that was like literally the case. And when I joined Google and we did change the world again, it changed me. I realized that nobody should ever think that they're too late for anything. We get to innovate until the day we die, and that's what gives me fuel and energy to come up with interesting things out there. And I guess Zen journey is just beginning, but it's rooted in this conviction that you can always make the world better no matter what. And it doesn't even need to be a personal experience. Again, we see Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and other people out there. Steve Jobs to some degree. I mean, think about it. So he was fired from Apple. Apple pretty much died. And then he came back and revitalized it and gave us an iPhone. And that was way after the computer revolution and internet and so on and so forth. And that's extremely inspiring. And Steve Jobs didn't care about the money either. I mean, he didn't want to be necessarily a wealthy person.
You can't. To be that impactful, you can't. You can't
Yeah.
think. It's a distraction. People ask me, like, why are you so detailed? And it's like, why don't you care about the money? It's like, I don't have time. Someone else can do that for me. Everyone wants to give me money. I don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah. And so I think what's really interesting about this setup is that when you set out to change the world and you have money as a secondary component and not the primary, usually the money just comes at you like an avalanche.
Oh, you don't even expect it either. I was ready to struggle for 3-4 years. I was preparing myself for war, and everyone was like, "Oh no, kid, you're really talented. Here's a bunch. Like, I'll give you anything if you ask, and just do this, that, and the other for me," which I don't do. But it's kind of nice knowing, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's nice knowing that I have a list of consultations that I'll never get to, frankly, nor do I want to. But if I had to, I would love to help people and provide service in that way, but I just don't have to. So again, I'm a freedom guy right now because I'm game planning for when it's my turn to take a shot at whatever that is. It could be something small. It could be something, the biggest thing in the world. That's not really what my motivation is. I need to understand exactly every nuance point about this stuff with no bias first.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we take some questions? I have about 15 minutes actually, so don't have much time left.
I know you're the busiest man on the planet, and I can literally, you might be one of the busiest guys on the planet at this moment in time, probably top 100. So let's get to the questions. I'm sorry, I'm just pulling them up really quick. And Jack, thank you so much for your time. I know I'm all excited and I forget about other people's time and energy sometimes. So if I ever am being a little bit too like, blah, ask Alex from Hedron. He won't even talk to me because I spam him so much. All right. So let's get to the questions real quick. And then one question I had is about Pulse Chain launch first, just because there's going to be, and it's going to be Zen related. So I want it to be about Zen. But I mean, you're talking about going on all blockchains. This is 100% relevant, guys. I'm not trying to poke at anything. If something like Pulse Chain were to launch, right, and it gets lots of volume, are you there like right away? Do you wait a week? And I'm asking that for me now, but and then your overall valuation on like something like that. Sorry for asking a confusing question.
Okay, well, there's two ways to think about it. Pulse chain was supposed to be a state copy of Ethereum, so clearly when it launches, it should already have Zen. Now, there's no reason to deploy another contract, unless there is a reason. I just don't think of one just yet.
I don't know if there's a reason other than like gas fee arbitrage, but other than that, like no.
Well, there's no gas fee arbitrage between chains because
no, but I'm saying like everyone paid this much over there, so the same people, the supply will be over there, so that some people might just get a good deal. Like, you know, really, that's the only thing, because just because people don't notice or know, there's a majority of people that have Zen on ETH that will not know about Pulse Chain. Trust me, I just have been in the market for so long, I can tell. And they'll just be like, oh, snap, why is all this price movement changing so quickly or between the two? But that's it. Well, like, other than that.
Well, all of it is part of education. I think it's part of education. If Pulse Chain, if people find Pulse Chain interesting, then that means that other people will too, and they just need to know about
it. What's your your sign? Somebody was asking like 5 times what your sign was for your birthday.
I'm a Leo.
He's a Leo, so do your witchcraft and tell me what kind of spells he's going to come up with. I'm not saying that that's not real stuff. Another question I had, sorry, my ADD is full blast right now. Let me look at the chat. I don't know if we really, like, again, I've been hammering out questions all day, Jack. Jack, a busy man, bro. Stop hating. I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted Jack to come on here and make sure everything was cleared up. Jack, I didn't want to take up all your time. It doesn't look like we have that many more questions. I'm trying to, okay, here we go. Question, is every Zen different on every chain, or are all under one total supply? That's a great question.
Definitely, great question. Definitely not under one supply. It's completely different state on every chain. So different supply on different chains, different ticker number, different everything. So different gas price.
And I'll ask you a question and just defer it if you must, and you can just go back to work. But I want to know, for my personal sake, any of these calculations you've seen on any of these chains, like as far as the cheaper chains, is it, let's keep it to ETH, PAL, and Binance, because that's in my scope of mental. I see so much of the supply on the market already in comparison. That therefore meaning the supply is maturing much faster because people are spamming one-day stakes, which is totally cool with me. So I spend $100 at the bottom, I get $1 trillion, and then I provide liquidity with that on PalSwap. How, like, is there anything you could tell me about like how much downward pressure there could be at a super accelerated rate? And again, I'm not really so worried about the money, but I'm worried more so like, have you thought about any of these projections in your head for like, obviously that has to go down. Like that's just a classic math. But have you thought about any timelines for like when things will kind of level out on some of these chains?
Potentially. I mean, ultimately, it's not a measure of time. It's a measure, or a function rather, of the incoming new users who are getting into Zen, whether they're buying or minting, versus the people who want to sell it. So like even on day one, there were more people who wanted to buy it because they didn't know what it was. So people were buying it for $1. So they didn't know what it was. They thought it was a new token. They wanted to pump and participate in the pump. And so they bought it for $1. They didn't know they could mint it for nothing.
And I told everyone, by the way, just under God, that for the first 4 days not to buy on Uniswap. I said, don't you do it. If you don't know anything about what's going on, please don't do it. Don't go on Uniswap. Don't buy Zen on Uniswap. Don't. I said it 150 times. And I wanted people to learn the supply metrics first. How do you kind of buffer that? Is there any, like, as a founder, like, and this will be like my last question, unless I see another one, like, how do you buffer some of that? Like, there is a little bit of like, oh, I hope someone doesn't lose all their money buying on day one. That would be really ignorant thing to do for any human. Is there any kind of like, or are you just like, people definitely just do stupid stuff sometimes and you just can't?
I don't think you can reach every person who's going to do the wrong thing. I mean, people were buying Bitcoin at 69,000. They were there. That's why the Bitcoin went up to 69,000. So could we tell them not to do it? No, because it could have been 75,000 the day after. So it's just a human nature to be attracted to something new and shiny, or participate in a pump. The pumps generally are self-fueling, and so are the dumps. And people kind of move in herds, so you can't really tell people what to do. It's part of the game, like, so to speak. And also, I wanted to say that in terms of the, there's been a lot of questions about so-called infinite sell pressure. The coin is free, so you can sell it all you want, but all you're doing is you're finding buyers that they're buying it cheaper from you. So you're doing a service to the buyers and spreading the word about Zen to everybody who bought it. So, like, imagine if you're buying it today and it's, let's say, 5 zeros and 1, and you don't know what you're getting into. But you can buy 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, and you're not gonna break the bank doing it. And then perhaps you'll learn about it. And once you learn about it, you'll tell your friends about it. And then you become a minter. So that is one vector how people can get into Zen protocol, which is, I think, is totally fine.
Question: it appears that because I chose the 100 days to claim Zen, I will get a lower APY when I stake. Is that correct?
That is correct, because APY drops 1% every 90 days. But I would say don't worry about the APY, because you can just use the same wallet when you mint to start minting again. And so definitely mint for as long as you can. Right now, I think it's 402 days on Ethereum. So you should just mint for that long, and you will make the most of it, of the protocol, if you do it. Don't worry about the staking APY. It's really there for people who buy it on the open market and then they decide to stake it because that's something that they could do. But the rest of the people, I would say, would do better if they just mint. Well, I mean, staking is an option, but don't worry about the APY dropping. APY is going to be dropping 4 percentage points every year.
And let's get to some of these. The fun was that the miners or validators could mint without really paying for the gas fee. But the one thing I want you to touch on this, because I read the article, and frankly, it was so underdramatic that I wish I didn't pull it up. But I don't know the whole story, and it could be big, it could be small, I don't know. But this thing is so virtually close to zero, guys, that have fun trying to tell everyone they're going to lose money on it. Have fun telling me that I'm going to lose all my money on my $250 worth of mints. Have fun. I hope I lose it all. I don't care. So learn harder, faster, learn more. You got to think more critically. This is virtually free. Everyone who mints it gets more supply. I mean, the supply gets more matured and the C rank goes down. Therefore, you're getting a better deal when you minted before them. And you're probably minting then, or when the supply is mature enough. This is a little alpha. Jack won't probably comment on this, but I will really fast. When the maturity of some of these liquidity pools becomes more profitable to buy than it does to mint to get the same amount, it becomes a buyer's market. I'm not going to say anything mean. It becomes a buyer's market, guys. When the mint is less valuable, it becomes a buyer's market until that ratio flops back. Just when you're not spending that much US dollar, it doesn't matter.
So there was I think, an important question. Somebody's asking, what about the validators minting for free or not using any gas money? I would say that it was verbalized by one person and repeated by a few people now. But have you guys seen transactions where you don't pay any gas? I'd like to see them, because I think the validators can fill in the space in the block, but I certainly doubt that we're going to have any sort of situation where a transaction cost is almost nothing to mint some free coin. So I'd like to see any sort of transactions that can prove that validators are massively creating Zen supply for free. And when I say for free, without paying any gas.
Yeah, I think there's just so much nuance there, and what some of the guys with bigger accounts do is they try to smash you with that news and put a big header on there. But if you look at the numbers and you really dig into how it works, it's like, no, that's not wrong. Your whole sentiment is wrong. This is not correct. And again, I'm so sick of you talking about the bots for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. I can't even ask you anymore, frankly. It's sickening to me.
Well, we're
Even
going to level the playing actually with the bots. We're going to create an interface where you can spend as much gas as you want with a single transaction, and spin up as many wallets you want underneath the protocol, and you wouldn't even feel like you're making any wallets.
Oh my God, Jack, you're so smart.
Well, I wish I could agree, but this is actually something that was suggested by other developers out there. And there's something that's already working. We haven't yet looked very deeply into what they have done, but one of the ways to abstract from making 10 wallets, 100 wallets, is to basically tie in wallet creation to a protocol that actually creates wallets as part of the protocol, which has nothing to do with you owning the wallets. You still own the transaction. You will make one transaction. You can create as many wallets as you want underneath, but to claim it back, it's also going to be one transaction as well. So everybody can be together with people with quick fingers or software that already does it. We'll just make it available for everybody.
World adoption much faster than I thought. That's just my thought. Jack didn't say that.
Well,
But golly, you're making it quick.
And you'll get to burn more Ethereum quicker.
And MetaMask will benefit, and all of these, every one of this benefits everyone. More users.
Think I mentioned this before. So a lot of people are upset that the gas prices are a little higher. I mean, guys, they were 10 Gwei or 9 Gwei over the weekend. It was $2.50 to mint Zen. It's nothing. And we have had gas prices so much higher during the bull market. So who wouldn't want to have something exciting happening in the bear market? And Zen is exciting. And so obviously the gas being a little bit higher just indicates that there's more life in the crypto world than otherwise would be without it. And at the same time, I would say nobody should be averse paying gas, because gas is paid to the infrastructure that's securing transactions for all of us, enforcing self-custody, making cryptography stronger by validating all the blocks and getting paid more for it. And so on any chains out there, like for example, let's go back to ETH-POW, for example. So somebody has more reasons to become a miner. If they have equipment and they know that there is news that they're now making 135% of, or 35% more than before, it will make ETH-POW more secure. So why is it not a great thing for ETH-POW having a little bit more expensive gas?
Oh, it's incredible what you've done for that. And this is from I have a lot of stuff on there. I have enjoyed paying more gas fees over there. I like seeing that number ratchet up a little bit. It makes me feel more secure, frankly, because when it's too free, it's too loose, it's too. But again, it's a fine line between cheap fees and then like fees that actually bother people. Because I always tell people, a fee that's 1 cent and a fee that's 6 cents, nobody gives a shit. I don't care who you are. Nobody pays attention to that. I just know people that well. But once you get that $4, $5, $8, $10, $15 region. So guys, it's all what guys will do is when they want you to buy something that they have, they will point to whatever news they can to point out a point, but there'll be no real facts or data. And it's so naive for people that have no experience in crypto to say, I've seen those ETH fee spikes 6 or 7 times and I've only been in for 1,000 days. I've seen it where I've had to pay and nobody gave an S about staking everything or doing anything or putting everything into everything. But now it's a matter because you're creating such waves in crypto with the volume of people.
Well, I think 2 summers ago, I was buying some sort of stupid NFT duck for paying $300 in fees. I mean, it rallied. It went 8x, and I sold the same duck for $250 in gas fees. And I didn't think it was terrible because I was doing something new and interesting. It was NFTs in 2020, 2021 were all the rage. and literally something would airdrop or just come on OpenSea, and within days it would be 10x of what it was. And so that would drove the gas prices higher, well, made the network more secure, and potentially had the sort of a gatekeeping effect for people who didn't want to waste their money. But I think it's working as it should.
As do I. I think it's working beautifully. I couldn't have imagined this being as awesome as it is. And crypto's hard, so it's not the most flashy thing in the world, but it's really awesome, like what's going on like right now. Sam's
Crypto's
excited.
hard. Crypto's hard, but we want to make it easier. So that's our goal.
And I have one controversial question afterwards, and then I'm done. But this is, I love Green Day. So Green Day is awesome. And this is from Green Day Power, the crypto show. You have both gave me so much entertainment. I want to thank you. My channel just started, and I want to interview you two so bad. Could I schedule a time to interview you guys separately? Jack, thank you for Zen. Regardless, absolutely, dude. Just hit my DMs, and if I don't follow you on Twitter, just drop your tag below so I can know what it is. Thanks for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. And of course, if you have a crypto show, I would love to come on it, and we'll talk for sure. Thank you for the super chat. Jack, so if someone put a gun to your head and said, Jack, I need you to create a layer 1 right now that has all the parameters of, a good secure blockchain in your degree, how long do you think that would take you roughly if you really just guess? If you were just guessing, you're not doing this, and nor do you want to. It's because that's not your purpose, it seems like.
Well, it took POW guys a very short amount of time because they already could tap into the miners that were in existence. So that was a great idea to fork the old Ethereum and just to reuse the infrastructure. I think if you're using Tendermint, you can set up a layer 1 over the weekend. No big deal. I mean, it's really the code itself is nothing. So simple. It is the ability to engage validators or miners to your cause and make it secure. That is where the real difficulty and the challenge is. The code itself is not that difficult at all.
Right. So it's kind of like there's variables, and if you want to be super careful, because you have to take more time to have your amount of whatever that is for you, the amount of strength within your communication with the validators or the community consensus or whatever metric you kind of look at for that, they would have to, like, the strength was better than if somebody came in and tried to 51 it or do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, with today's tools, the technology is no longer the challenge. I would say 15-20% of the time of the effort would be technology, and 80% of the time would be just getting the community together to participate towards the common goal, which is securing the new L1.
Right. Yeah, because some of us newer guys, we get real confused with a lot of the stuff that people, they try to trick you because they know you don't know the back end, right? Like they're going to say, oh, I'm going to do this, do that. I'm like, I don't know if that'll take 10 years or one day. I don't have a clue. I don't have a team.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the community ready, it would take one day to create a new one. Like I could do it over the weekend.
Cool.
If you had the community.
Cool. And I'm just curious, like that was just my question for you because you have a little more insight on this type of things than me. Thank you so much, Jack, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to drop the links for the Telegram. I'm going to drop, what's the best Telegram to drop at this point? Because I have about 5 of them.
For us, that would be t.me crypto, Zen Crypto Talk. But I would say just send everybody to my Twitter profile because all the links are there.
Yeah, so at Mr. Jack Levine on Twitter, guys, I'm going to drop it in about 35 seconds. So if you don't have the tag, just wait for me to drop it below. Jack, you've really changed. You've changed this whole dynamic, and in my opinion, things like this are the reason. Like people think, oh, the bear market is here and the bull market just starts for no reason. And it's never that way in hindsight. It's always because people were innovating. It's always because people were creating. It's always because someone was pushing a little bit different or harder in one different direction to make, especially in an area like this where the grass is green. There's lots of fertile ground here. And I think stuff like this is exactly why bull market really goes nutty, and people are like, man, bull market went crazy, but it all makes sense in hindsight, guys. It all makes sense in hindsight. Jack, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for getting out of your busy schedule. Crypto in the Morning live every single day with my co-host, Sam Stolt, and my producer, Bullish Hawks. I'm going to drop those links below, guys. Have an amazing day.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim Reddit sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning.